common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
KT McFarland. She's the former government official that was the head of national security.
Deputy National
Security Advisor. KT, there's so much stuff going on. Where do you want to start today?
Well, you pick your crisis. I think that the Middle East is the one most immediate and most likely to kind of explode before our very eyes. Iran is probably going to launch within the next 76 hours a barrage of missile attacks against Israel. They're going to do it deliberately. They're going to overwhelm the Iron Dome defense system that Israel has. And they're doing it for a couple of reasons. One, because they can get away with it under President Biden and Vice President Harris. They know there'll be very little response. And number two, because they can afford to do it, because thanks to the Biden-Harris defense policy and energy policy, Iran's rich. It's got an extra $100 billion it can spend on these things. But I don't think Iran is going to launch a full-scale war like they've sort of threatened to do, because the Israelis have taken out one of the senior Hamas officials in a neighborhood that was literally 2 or 3 blocks from where the mullahs live, and an apartment that was protected by the Iranian security services, and somehow Mossad got a bomb in the apartment, blew the guy up. So if you're a senior Iranian official, you've got to think, gee, do they have my address too? Are our security forces so penetrated that we're vulnerable and we're at risk as well? So I think, Iran's got to do something to show its manhood because of these killings of the 3 top officials that are the proxies that are fighting the war against Israel. But I don't think they're going to go full-fledged. The thing I worry about... Yeah.
I was going to say that, and I've said this before, that Iran, during the last barrage, they launched 300 drones. It took 4.5 hours for the drones to go over Israel, and only one hit. And I described it as a Hollywood movie, just like, what was that?
Wag the Dog.
The Wag the Dog, that they wanted to show their people that, see, we're doing something. Is this going to be Wag the Dog part 2?
Yeah, and you've got it right on the nose. They've got to show their people how tough they are, and they're responding, and they're going to make sure that the Israelis suffer. But they don't want to do too much because they really don't want to launch an Israeli counterattack, and they sure as heck don't want to launch Iranian assassins who are going to go after Iranian officials. What I'm worried about is what is Iran going to do with this opportunity it has with a weak, distracted, interregnum president? Who knows who the president even is right now? And will they try to take advantage of the United States? Will they try to, for example...
Who's calling the shots at the White House?
Oh, my gosh.
If something is happening, who's picking up the red phone?
A team. The problem is that in the Biden administration, they've all said, they even said this, John, publicly in the media, well, don't worry. Biden may not be all there, but, he's got a really good team of advisors. It's going to be the same great guys, the experienced adults who will advise him throughout. So it really isn't, political leaders almost don't matter. It's who the cabal is, who's running things, who's the guy writing the stuff in the teleprompter. And those guys, by the way, think that they're entitled to rule. They're so great, they're so brilliant, they're so well-educated. But these are the guys who've gotten everything wrong.
Absolutely, everything wrong. Judge Weinberg, you wanted something.
Yeah, KT, I want to ask you this. You started to have a thought, which is what made you afraid. What is it that makes you afraid in today's climate?
Nukes. I'm afraid that Iran is going to distract Israel in the next couple of weeks with an attack against Israel, a three-pronged attack against Israel. And Iran is going to use that opportunity to say, look, we have nuclear weapons. Now, if Iran wants to say that they have nuclear weapons, that's great. They probably do. They have that capability. But they sure as heck are going to get away with it now. Whereas if Donald Trump were president and they tried to develop nuclear weapons or announce that they're a nuclear weapons state, there'd be huge penalties to pay. So I think what they're trying to do is do it now, and then they can present a new administration, either a Kamala Harris administration or a Trump administration, and they can say, look, we already have the nukes. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, but Biden specifically said, you're never going to have nukes. We'll never allow them to have it. How do they then run on that record?
Are you kidding? I mean, Biden is the same guy who 3 weeks ago said, I'm running for president. I'm not resigning. He's also the guy who's telling you that the economy is terrific. He's the guy who's saying, never have we had more peace in our time. You know, I'm not really believing a whole lot that this administration is saying.
Well, KT, thank you so much for coming on. And would you do me a favor, make sure we pray for all of us?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, it's the only thing that might work.
Thanks, KT.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.